contractor?
Oh, yeah, why is that?
Construction is booming everywhere. The industry can't keep up with the demands. The way the world is now, all of civilization is just burning down. People don't want to go outside. They want to fix up their homes. They want to turn them into fortresses.
Yeah, people are moving out of the city, I guess. Funny how that's happening.
It's the fourth turning.
Big pardon?
Historical events, they don't just happen. They're set into motion by great men, generational personae. And each one of these unleashes a turning that lasts about 20 years, more or less. And every 4 turnings is a seculum, which is about the length of a human life. And at the end of each, there's a crisis. In this country, the crisis is always war. Revolution, 80 years later, the Civil War. 80 years later, World War II. And that's coming up on 80 years now, so. Something's about to happen.
The US and the UK led other countries in an attack on the Houthi military sites in Yemen. This after what they say was months of aggression in the Red Sea from the Iran-backed group.
I think it's important to remember how we got here. 27 attacks against international commercial shipping and mariners since November 19th, multiple warnings to stop, and we said very loud and clear there would be consequences, and last night there were.
The U.S. says earlier in the week the Houthis launched 20 drones and several missiles targeting its ships in the Red Sea. The attacks were thwarted by U.S. and U.K. forces operating in the region. Despite 22 nations condemning the attacks, the rebel group continued its assault, saying they were in support of the Palestinians who are embroiled in a battle with Israel. However, the U.S. says its strike had nothing to do with that ongoing conflict.
Over 50 countries have been affected by this, affecting the economic prosperity of multiple nations. So this is not part of the Israel-Hamas conflict. This is malign behavior by a group that's disrupting international commercial shipping and putting the lives of mariners at risk.
The Houthis have reportedly vowed retaliation and say they will continue to attack shipping in the region.
Today, President Biden said these targeted strikes are a clear message that the United States and our partners will not tolerate attacks on our personnel or allow hostile actors to imperil freedom of navigation in one of the world's most critical commercial routes.
Now, some members of Congress are already pushing back against the unauthorized bombing. Representative Cori Bush wrote on Twitter last night, "At POTUS can't launch airstrikes in Yemen without congressional approval. This is illegal and violates Article 1 of the Constitution. The people do not want more of our taxpayer dollars going to endless war and the killing of civilians. Stop the bombing and do better by us. Stop the bombing and do better by us." Representative Ro Khanna also called Biden's bombing unconstitutional during a CNN appearance last night. Let's watch.
Well, I mean, what I've said is he should have come, as the Constitution requires, to Congress, and that was echoed in a bipartisan way by Senator Mike Lee, Representative Jonathan Jackson, and many other senators and congresspeople. The Constitution requires that if there's not an imminent threat of self-defense, that he has to come to Congress. And here we know by your own reporting that this has been going on since December. He's assembled an entire international coalition. He certainly should have come to Congress so that we can discuss whether this actually could put more American troops at risk. I'm concerned about retaliation in Iraq and whether it could draw us into a Middle East war. And I believe that he did not follow the Constitution.
Let's start off with this. It's pretty much everywhere right now. How many of you that follow this blog are at all surprised about what happened yesterday? I'm talking about U.S. military strikes on multiple targets in the Middle East. This is where we're going, people. It's so simple to know what's going to happen before it does. When you realize who your enemy is and what they want. Now, with that said, let's move forward here. Here's a headline for you. Pay attention to the wording here because it's very, very interesting. And the same report I'm going to cover here is also being covered by every single mainstream propaganda ministry who seems to be going out of their way to convince you of one thing, that is who their enemy is or our enemy is, and why we need to attack them. So here we go. United States and UK carry out massive strikes against Iran, there's the key, backed Houthis in Yemen. The United States and UK militaries launched strikes against multiple Houthi targets in Houthi-controlled areas of Yemen on Thursday. United States and coalition forces struck over 60 targets in 16 Iranian-backed Houthi militant locations. You and I have been covering this, I don't know how long. I've told you, Iran is the goal. They must suck Iran in, and they're going to. Just wait till you see what's coming down the pike. So this is the part that's going to make you all warm and fuzzy. So this is our illustrious thing sitting behind the Resolute desk. Today, at my discretion, vomitous mass Biden, U.S. military troops together with the United Kingdom and with support from Australia, Bahrain, Canada, and the Netherlands, they're all on the same page, of course, successfully, of course, very successfully, conducted strikes against a number of targets in Yemen. Biden added, are you ready? Here's the key, part of the key, that he will not hesitate to direct further measures to protect our people and the free flow of international commerce as necessary. Look, people, as we have covered, this is 2024, the year of war. The year of expanding war, ballooning deficits. Speaking of that, hold on a minute here. Here's something else you might want to know. This is CNBC. Pay attention to this as well. Here's the headline. U.S. deficit tops $500 billion in the first quarter of the fiscal year. Deficit rising faster than any other time in history. Does that sound familiar to you? Because you and I have spoken about this before anybody else, of course. And, again, it's a no-brainer. The deficit has continued to pile up despite the Biden administration's assurance, that the Inflation Reduction Act, in addition to reducing prices, which obviously has not happened, would shave hundreds of billions off the deficit. Here we go again, in-our-face, bold-faced lie where nobody is going to be held to account. Could you imagine? Imagine my shock, imagine your shock. See all this stuff here, people? This is the norm. This is where we are going moving forward, although much, 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 much worse as we move forward through this entire year. Now, on the back of multiple targets being attacked, 60 targets at least, yesterday here. Crude oil is now over 3.5% higher. Gold this morning. Gold and silver are higher. Cryptocurrencies are flat. 10-year yield under 4%, as this is meant to do. Push more cash into the perceived safety of debt, and the dollar is higher. Let me ask you, how many of you feel like we are being lied to yet again, and this is just another mechanism to, push us all again into another major conflict? That's what they're doing here, okay? There's no way to verify anything that is going on here. It's the Houthis. You know it is because they're telling you, and it's Iran who's backing the whole thing. You know how that's true? Because they're telling you. I mean, it's unbelievable. The propaganda is off the Richter scale, as you and I have predicted would happen. And it's just not going to stop. The lies, the distractions, the deceptions. All this really comes down to is yet another mechanism to pull cash into the now. None of this is true, just so you understand. This is all a false flag from the get-go. Everything here. And if you, again, believe this is the end, you have no idea. They will do anything to push us all or get us to back another conflict. You remember after 9/11? all the American flags people were putting up in their yards and hanging on their houses, as those that really run the entire show were laughing their asses off at all of us. That's what they're going to pull off again. Expect another 9/11 event to occur. That's what they will do. They will kill thousands, tens of thousands, and millions to make sure that the mechanism stays in place. And that means, again, what we have here, people, and you know this better than anybody else, this debt-based system is a curse upon the world. It is run by the central banks who control everything. The system demands that more debt be pulled into it, and no other mechanism on the planet, off the planet, or anywhere else you want to might look, generates the need for more borrowed dollars pulled into the now from the future than war. And this is going to lead to a culling of the population of the world. And don't just take my word for it. We've been warned repeatedly by people a lot smarter than me about this kind of thing, and that is exactly where we are going. And look, as I outlined yesterday, we got to band together. Okay, there are a lot of people who even follow this blog who seem to be going out of their way and hope that people get hurt because they want to put their cash in this, because they want to do this, because they want to do that. Those people are going to get it the worst. Those people that are wishing evil or bad on others are going to get it back way worse than they could possibly imagine. I'm telling you, snap out of it, okay? It's all part of the divide and conquer mechanism. You've fallen through the trap door. If you've fallen through that trap door, it's not too late to get yourself out. But what we are seeing here is going to expand, is going to get a lot worse, and many, many more people are going to die. That's the truth. But again, keep in mind, the world economy today is collapsing. It is in free fall. Debts and deficits are hyper-ballooning. They're not going to stop. This is adding to the hyper-bubble in debt, which is the greatest threat to humankind, more so than war. Okay, because once the debt bubble bursts, we're going to run into a resource problem on a level people are not going to believe is going to be forced upon the world. Famine, out of control people who are going to do anything that they can to try to get some food into their bellies here, okay? A new system is being set up here by them. And it's not going to be in your best interest, I can promise.